Дня Український кризовий медіа-центр розпочинає свою
Dear colleagues, good morning. UCMC starts its work and we start our discussions with the presentation on the results of monitoring about entry campaign to the higher educational institutions, and Egor Stadnyi, executive director at the analytical center CEDOS, is presenting those universities which are worth to entry and those who are not worth to entry. Thank you very much for this opportunity. In autumn last year, we presented such a resource as for price.org, where we decided to monitor the violations of the rights of students and professors in the university in order to be ready before this year entry campaign to report about those universities where there is higher level of compliance with the rights of professors and students, and those where is the lowest level of compliance with the rights. First of all, I will describe the principles, how we compile the database, and then I will show the database itself. So the data were collected from open sources like information from the Ministry of Interior, register of the pre-court investigations, mass media reports, and so on. Also, we used information received from students and professors directly, but of course, it was subjected to pre-moderation, to double checks. We looked for the proofs, and only after they double check whether the information was correct, then it entered our database. As of today, we have 381 such violations registered across Ukrainian universities, out of more than 500 that we 500 pieces of information that we received from our sources, which suggests that there might be even more violations in the universities which we were unable to either to double check or which were not reported. So what sorts of offenses and violations we have in the universities? First of all, these are the all sorts of bribes, the bribes at the stage of entry to the university, bribes during sessions, bribes when accommodating in hostels, forced labor, all sorts of so-called forced internship, when students are forced to cleaning the premises, for example, etc. Arrears of stipends or late payments of stipends, violation of some contracts for delivery of training services, or unexpected emergence of some paid services which should not be delivered on paid basis, and some other sorts of offenses like voluntary use of the university property. Another sort of the violations is breach of the rights of professors, in particular violations of the professors' labor rights. We strongly believe that those professors whose labor rights are violated, they are insufficiently motivated to deliver training to students. Another sort of the breach of professors' rights is excessive workload and violation of the competitive procedure when selecting into vacancies. Also, we had registered some violations of the law on higher education passed 2 years ago, and more than 150 violations of the right to information by universities. That is insufficient delivery of information by universities, which deprives students from their right to choose a university based on the conscientious grounds, well-informed grounds. Here we have the our website where you can sort this table, sort by topic of the violation, by areas where the violations occur, by universities. For example, you would like to find how many violations with the stipends happen, or how many violations with bribes during exam session. You can easily find out. You can ask for 20 violations, 40, etc., or for all violations. Or alternatively, you can look at the map and find out how many violations happen in the definite location, definite city or town where you wish to observe. In Kyiv, we have more than 80 different violations, and then you can click each bulb. And here you will find the description of all the violations. The description explains which university violated what provision of the legislation and what responsibility is provided by legislation for this or that very violation. Now I would like to come back to the occasions of bribes of that 101 case of bribes. 26 cases of bribes. These were bribes during exam session. 20 bribes were during entry procedure. 12 cases of bribes when accommodating in the hostel 12 times. 12 cases of unexpected and unlawful paid services, another 12 examples, and forced internship, which is voluntary discretion, unlawful expelling, or so this altogether come with 11 cases. Who are leaders in the violations? Among Kyiv universities, this is Interregional Academy of Personnel Development, National Aviation University, National Medical University. The Pedagogical University has a problem with the Zhytomyr branch. The Food Industry Institute has in Kamenets-Podilsky a problem. Lviv Air Force Academy, Lviv Agrarian University in Kharkiv, Polytechnical Institute, problem with hostels. In Odessa, this is the Law Academy, the Academy of Food Technologies, and I would like to mention Uzhgorod University and Mukachev University, especially bribes during exam sessions. In Mykolaiv University and Shipbuilding Institute, and Uman Gardening University, where also they want bribes. These are not all the universities where violations were observed, but we recommend you nevertheless be careful with these universities to double check to double check the departments in those universities and those chairs which appear to be mentioned in our report. Egor, Egor, thank you for your study, for your survey. I think that's a very important work. I have several questions related to your work. Actually, we revealed that each fourth breach of rights is related to bribing. As to verification of those facts, whether you managed to understand how much parents of the candidates of the future students or the candidates themselves are aware of their rights related to counter corruption actions. Sometimes there is strong motivation not to object against such cases of corruption for the sake of belonging to this university. What I have to say, from the very beginning, all those notices that we received, all those pieces of information, more than 500, the majority of them are bribes. The biggest problem is sponsors' contribution, forced practices, so-called forced internship for the first-year students when they are forced to cleaning. When we get such information, we explain what does legislation say on this very issue. Then we explain how they should act, what claims they should submit, and how they can go to court. Of course, not so many people are ready to go to court because it requires too much money and effort. The students' position is rather weak. Partially is weak due to because students' associations do not carry out public awareness campaign explaining how they can protect their rights in case of any breaching of their rights. Students' associations more deal with entertainment and leisure of the students. But what is more serious in terms of offenses, when it is about bribes, the bribes are quite often initiated by students, so they information about bribes we receive from other students who are from those single students who are intolerant to bribes, and unfortunately, very unfortunately, the issue of moral support in this case becomes very acute. Those who inform about bribes, those who do not wish to pay bribes, should know that it's right to inform about bribes, and you should not be you should not hear that it's incorrect to pay bribes. The bribes should become unpopular. Of course, we will probably reach this level of conscientiousness, but our project is aimed at creating some islands of freedom from bribes. So let us, those universities where there is a high level of bribes, let them receive not enough students this year. Money allocated by the government for higher educational institutions go after the number of students who had chosen this university. Whether you plan to impose on your website information about successful universities. Unfortunately, we cannot mention too many successful cases, although we have some students' initiatives which had been working rather successfully and fight against violations, all sorts of violations. On the map, we can see the cases when violations were corrected. If we press the button violation corrected, we can see the some number of corrections. Most often these are corrections related to the access to information, but unfortunately the cases of bribes, etc., they cannot be removed immediately. That's why we continue our work. Thank you very much. We will trace back your proactive work. On the one hand, of course, we wish to have less cases of bribes. On the other hand, we wish to continue our educational reform, and without the demand from the bottom, there won't be any progress in this reform. Egor, thank you very much, and we hope to see you later. And in some minutes, we'll have the next briefing.